Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Matt's Mind here on the channel. I know it's not Wednesday, but better late than never. We've had a couple of setbacks the past week or two, but nonetheless we are back here with episode 17. Of course, Matt's Mind is a series here on the channel that I bring on a weekly basis. If you guys have any questions or topics for discussion, go ahead and comment them down below, and of course drop a like on the video before we go ahead and get started. So without any further ado, let's just go ahead and jump on into some questions. First one here is going to be from the General 101. Do you want more droid battle packs plus love the vid? Thank you, I appreciate that. Droid battle packs, I mean, only because we haven't gotten one in such a long time, and I think there are a lot of people who, especially with the resurgence of the Clone Wars and the Mandalorian and different other Star Wars content, I think there's a little bit of a need for a droid battle pack. However, me personally, I don't care for them. I'm not an avid collector of droids, and that's not to say maybe down the road I won't be, but at this point in time, personally, I really don't care. But I know that, again, with the resurgence of the Clone Wars TV show and other content that we will be getting, especially with maybe some more trilogies and more content regarding the Clone Wars, I know that there are definitely tons and tons of people who do want one. So yes, I would say so. I think the ideal droid battle pack would definitely be at least 2 of the regular droids, maybe 1 of the super battle droids, and then maybe a droideka as the 4th figure or 4th buildable figure, I guess, in that set. Overall, personally, I really don't care for them. I don't need them at this point, but I think there are people who definitely would like them. Next question comes from Neon Shark Productions. Matt, who was your favorite clone and Jedi from the Clone War era? Mine is Rex and Obi-Wan. I definitely have to say Rex. I think Rex is definitely the most level-headed, honorable, emotional, most human-like clone that we've seen, or at least one of the most human-like clones, so I definitely would say him. Now, in terms of my favorite Jedi, I'd probably have to say Anakin. Now, in the prequels, as many of you know, we don't really get to see this sort of build-up of the friendship that they're supposedly supposed to have, and they refer to different missions they've gone on, stuff like that. I think Anakin is a great Jedi in the Clone Wars. I think he's 99% of the time he's doing the right thing. Obviously, then we have the whole incident with the Tusken Raiders and stuff like that, but in terms of the Clone Wars TV show, I think we always see him do the right thing, and that sort of just makes it harder to believe that he transformed into one of the most ruthless villains. So that's where I kind of grow to appreciate the series, seeing Anakin as a true respected Jedi with a Padawan, doing the right thing, you know, following the code. I think that's what drives me to say that Anakin's my favorite. The next question here comes from T-Dog Studios. Hey Matt, great video. My question is, if you could pick the next Master Builder set, what would you pick? Now, for those of you who do not know what a Master Builder set is, it's basically like the newer Cloud City. It's not UCS, but it's not quite simply a playset. It's sort of in between. Now, as far as what I'd like to see for a Master Builder set, I think I'd like to see one of 2 things. I'd like to see either Endor redone, because they have done some Endor sets in the past, and it's been a while since the Ewok Village. I'd also like to see them maybe try to create Mustafar. From Revenge of the Sith, obviously the duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan, but you could also have a lot more other stuff in terms of play features. You have the giant poles, the bridges that collapse, the command and control center. I think there's a lot of opportunity if LEGO was to go down that road. Do I think a Mustafar Master Builder series set is likely? I don't think so. So I think a more realistic answer for me would definitely be Endor. I think there's lots of really cool stuff that they could include in a Master Builder series. Lots of really cool iconic scenes. Again, you have like the interior of that bunker, you have the exterior, you have the Ewoks fighting the ATSTs and the Stormtroopers and Scout Troopers. I think that'd be super cool to get as a Master Builder set. Now, this isn't necessarily a question, but it's actually like a topic. This comes from Judah Laisley. They say, I want to see there be a Palpatine, a Star Wars story film. I cannot agree with you more. I am very interested to see the backstory of Sheev. Obviously, we know a lot of information given the comics and the background content that we've gotten so far, but I want to see him grow up. Obviously, I don't think that Sheev Palpatine was this purely evil person from birth. Like, he wasn't born instantly an evil person. Obviously, there's always some sort of influence, just like Anakin, and how the Jedi Council mistreatment of him sort of led him a little bit to go towards his dark side. I'd love to see how Palpatine got his powers. Obviously, we know a lot of stuff about him and his mentor, how he eventually killed his master and sort of took his place, but I'd just like to see the upbringing. I'd like to see him training. I'd like to see how he made this change from a normal regular person to obviously becoming the most revered Sith in the entire galaxy. So that would be a really, really cool film. Definitely one of the ones I'd love to see. This question comes from Yanni Medina, hopefully said that right. Do you think there will be a bigger set than the UCS Millennium Falcon? I don't know, quite simply. Up until the Falcon set was made, almost 8,000 pieces, that set was unheard of. If you asked anybody, there would not be a set with nearly that amount of pieces. Usually the max was about maybe 4,000 or 5,000 pieces. I'm not too sure how many pieces the Death Star 2 or the Imperial Star Destroyer or Super Star Destroyer had. Honestly, I do personally think that LEGO can do it. I don't see a reason why they couldn't. it's one of those things like before we had the UCS Falcon, it was unheard of, but then when it came out, we finally got accustomed to it. So for that reason alone, I'm gonna say yes. I think that it is very possible LEGO can do a set bigger than the Falcon. Do I know what set that would be? I don't think so. I know that the rumored Star Destroyer that may or may not be coming out later this year is rumored around maybe 4,000 or 5,000 pieces. So as far as we know from the rumors, that's not over the Falcon, which was like almost 8,000 pieces. So I think LEGO can do it. I don't know what they would do, but I definitely believe that LEGO has that capability. Next question comes from R&T Productions. Would you like a Cody or Captain Rex show, or just a show on one specific clone? I gotta be honest with you, no, I don't. As much as I respect the clones, as much as I like the concept of the clones and how they do sort of have this sort of human side to them, I don't think that's necessarily worth an entire show, movie, TV series devoted to one individual clone. Perhaps the only exception I'd make to that rule is a show about maybe Rex and how he went about his life after Order 66, because it is confirmed in canon that Rex was on the Battle of Endor in Episode 6. So if there was one exception I'd make to my own rule about this, I would definitely like to see Rex and how his life sort of unfolded, because he goes from a clone who always knows battle, who thought he can really trust Anakin Skywalker, and then now he's Darth Vader, and it'd be interesting to see how he sort of copes with that. But other than that, definitely not. I don't think there's too much backstory and too much interest with these named clones. Next question here comes from Fresh Bricks. What is your favorite lightsaber and what is your least favorite? So I'll start off with my worst. My least favorite lightsaber is definitely got to be Episode 1 Qui-Gon's lightsaber. Not that it's necessarily bad, but it doesn't really pop like any of the others. There's no sort of iconicness. I bet you if half of you tried to draw Qui-Gon's Episode 1 lightsaber, not too many of you would know it. But in terms of my favorite lightsaber, I have honestly two. Number one's gonna be Darth Maul's, just because it's a dual-sided blade. I don't think anybody has really had that sort of power or like just simply badass lightsaber. So Maul's is definitely got to be a contender for first. And my second favorite lightsaber is actually going to be Kylo Ren's. I like the idea of having the extra hilts on the sides with the lightsaber sort of like, you know, lightning coming out the sides like an actual medieval sword. I really appreciate that in terms of like its design, because if you look, here's an image of lightsabers that we've gotten in the past. They all look pretty similar, right? They all look very similar up until Maul's, and then you have Count Dooku's really only being the outlier, and then you have Kylo Ren. So Kylo Ren and Darth Maul has definitely, those two kind of have to be my favorite as far as design goes. Obviously they are both red, which is definitely a cooler color also in my opinion, but they're really cool, they're really unique, they pop, and they're iconic, and that's the reason why I love them. Next question here comes from Spinjitzu Brick Productions. What advice do you have for new LEGO YouTubers? Now I get this question a lot. I think I've answered this question like twice before in the past 2 episodes, but basically there is no formula for success. There is no you do this, and you're guaranteed this outcome. It's all based on how much you're willing to work and how much you're willing to put into it. The best advice for new LEGO YouTubers is to not be discouraged if you experience slow growth. My growth was pretty freaking slow in the first couple of months. In the first like 6-7 months, I really didn't get too much traction other than one video, and then it took me 11 months to actually hit 1,000 subscribers. So I would say don't get discouraged, don't worry about numbers, don't worry about analytics, just make videos that you enjoy making. If you have a passion for it, your viewers will eventually see that and they'll appreciate that. And honestly, I think that's why I have my following today. It's because you guys know I love doing this sort of stuff. So just have fun with it, do what you want to do, and make sure you're having a good time. And the last question for today comes from Imperial Bricks Productions. What is the top 5 lines that you would want to see LEGO bring back, like Lord of the Rings, The Clone Wars, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, SpongeBob? Oh my gosh, this is tough. Okay, so the top one's gonna be Lord of the Rings. When it was out, I didn't have an appreciation for the movies. I was also really young, so I really didn't quite understand the whole epicness that actually truly surrounds Game of Thrones. So number one theme of all time I'd like for them to bring back is definitely got to be Lord of the Rings, and then another one similar, and actually like the rest on isn't really in any particular order. The next one would have to be Pirates of the Caribbean. So sort of kind of similar, related to Lord of the Rings, maybe-ish. The movies are great. The first Pirates of the Caribbean movie I remember fondly. There's so many cool moments and just like iconic scenes from the film, and the sets were really cool, especially like the bigger ships and just like the more consistent ones. So I definitely like to see more ships of those. The next theme that I'd like to see LEGO bring back is going to be the Kingdoms theme. I remember when I was younger, before YouTube, before you guys sort of knew me, I had all these Kingdom sets. I'd bought like 3 of the castles, combined it into one. I had a whole army. I pretended that my army was like King Arthur and the Knights of Camelot, because like the Red Lion. And I just have so many memories of playing with the castle, pretending it was under siege by the bad guy. guys, stuff like that. And honestly, the sets were great. I remember there was this one set that had these 2 houses, and I used those whenever I'd play with my friends and like pretend we're playing like a World War II Lego scene. I'd always use those. So the kingdom sets, like those houses, the medieval sets, I think is maybe what they're called. Kingdoms or medieval, whatever it is, they're sort of in the same boat, in my opinion. So I think that's 3. So 2 other ones I'd like to see brought back. One of the 2 last themes I'd like Lego to bring back would be the Space Police. I absolutely loved having these sets. It was always super cool. I remember I'd have like a mock laid out, and it'd be like a little bit of like a mall, and then a river, and then like a giant beach, and I'd always pretend like the space aliens were invading a mall, and the SWAT team would like kick down the door and always like kick their butts and stuff like that and come save the day. I'd love for like Alien Conquest, Space Police, that sort of stuff to come back. Now honestly, I don't think I'd invest too much into it. Obviously, I'm really invested in Star Wars, and if Lord of the Rings came back, I'd completely blow half my money on that. Oh, and then the last one I'd like for them to bring back would be Avatar, The Last Airbender, that whole line. Again, I remember vividly playing with like the Fire Nation ships and all the other people like fighting the Fire Nation. Those sets were so cool, so many memories, but those are the 5 themes I'd like to bring back. So guys, that's gonna wrap up this episode of Matt's Mind. Hope you all enjoyed. Again, if you have any comments or topics for discussion, go ahead and comment them down below, and of course drop a like on the video. Normally these videos come out Wednesday. Hopefully next week we'll be back to that normal schedule. You'll also see BrickWiz vlogs and other fun stuff coming soon. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.